What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Block Garage. I'm Brian, and as you saw in the last video, hopefully if you watched that one, we have the car body work, or the initial body work, body filler work, dent removal, all done, and we've got the car recoated in epoxy primer and then coated in polyester filler primer. So now it is time to start blocking the car, get it all perfectly straight, and as straight as we can. We're not making a show car here, right? So I know I skipped over most of the body work, right? I explained that in the last video, how I just wanted to work and get it done. Because we're kind of on a time crunch to get this car painted before it gets cold. But I did go over the areas that took me the most amount of work just to show them off. And don't forget, guys, I have basically zero experience doing this bodywork stuff. You know, this stuff that I did to this car essentially is the first time I did bodywork that I actually cared about. So I was very nervous in what the results were going to be, whether I did the bodywork right, feathered it in right, or whether you're going to be able to easily see all the areas where I put the body filler and, you know, just stick out and I did terrible, we'd have to redo it. So luckily it looks like none of that happened, which I will accredit to the guys that have been answering my questions. You know, I've been private messaging them on Facebook, Instagram, and stuff. Been very helpful. Like I mentioned in the last video, all of Kevin Tate's stuff, his paintucation course, and all of his videos he has on YouTube, and then all the other research that I did, right? So I am very happy with how this stuff has turned up. Let's take a walk around real quick and just see what everything looks like. I'll show you what I see. So you remember the front of the hood, we did a bunch of work here. This is all filler right here. Both of the front edges are filler. We had a dent here. I don't see anything right there that sticks out to me. And now that I've got this in gray primer instead of the black epoxy, it is way easier to see all of the, you know, the surface and what everything looks like. These body lines we had to basically create right here because these two panels fit terribly. So that all looks good, both sides. Now I spent a ton of time on both of these, getting these to fit perfect, because they did not, and I did not like how they looked. Various spots on the top of the fenders, wasn't too much. We did a lot down here on the bottom of the front fenders, both sides, and it's kind of hard to see right now, but because the lighting isn't great, but they both look good to me. Don't forget, we shaped both front corners and the rear corners of the roof skin with that metal filler, because we replaced this roof because it had a sunroof in it. Got a brand new roof from Resurrected Classics, and it fits great. We just had to obviously weld right here. The seam was right here on the back and right here on the front, and then from the factory they filled those with lead. We didn't want to use lead, so we used that metal reinforced filler. Looks like it came out great. And various spots back here, we did a ton of work to the hatch. Remember how bumpy this hatch was? Had to pull a bunch of dents out of this thing, and I still end up having to fill quite a bit, but this thing looks nice and smooth all the way across. And then continuing on with the back of the car, we did a ton of work on the lower quarters. If you remember, we replaced a lot of this down here. This side was actually really, really bad. The driver's side wasn't too bad because I did the smarter thing and replaced from here down. I replaced everything here, so we only had this seam right here and to fill the hole for the side marker light. So this side wasn't too bad to get straight, but this side over here, it's terrible because I did it in multiple panels. I replaced right here, left a lot of the factory metal, and replaced the square right here, and it made a ton of distortion in this panel, even going and doing it as slowly as I thought I should, which I still think I did it too fast, but I got it straightened out. I think we're good, but I did have to do a ton of shaping here with the filler. Beat in a bunch of dents and pulled some out, used the shrinking disc, all this stuff. Anyways, I went over that last time, right? So it all looks really good. And same story with the rear bumper area back here. If you remember, this all had to be covered in body filler because of all of the filling we did. We got rid of all of the shapes from the factory. It had different, like, indentations here and on the sides, and we had to fill in the holes for the rear bumper shocks when we were going for a smooth look. So, you know, looking at that, I mean, it looks great to me. It'll probably look a little different than I assume, show up more once we get a gloss paint on there. So we still got to block the car, right? Another thing that I was worried about was stuff like the body lines. So going back to here, I had to replace sheet metal here, so I kind of had to fix this body line here, and I was worried it wasn't going to match up. We had various places that had dents right on the body line. I don't remember if there were any on this side. It might be on the other side. Let's go back over here because I know there was some on the driver's side. Right here we had a dent that had to be pulled and filled. You know, and I was worried that I wouldn't get this body line nice and straight. It would, you know, stick out. Either I'd have it too sharp or too rounded, or had gone down or up or something like that with it. But looking at it, I can't really even tell where that was. So overall, I am incredibly relieved at how this has turned out. But now we need to block the car. So I haven't done this yet other than the sanding I was doing with, you know, shaping the body filler, which is a bit different. So we only went to 120 grit with the body filler work, and then put our epoxy primer on top, and then our polyester filler primer. So this stuff, if you don't know, is basically sprayable body filler. It's designed so that you can then block the car and get your panels really, really straight. I wanted to use it because I was worried, again, about how good of a quality my body filler work was going to be. I figured that could hide some of it, or we could get some imperfections out when we block the car. So we're going to jump right in, I guess, and get this started, start blocking the car so we can get it even closer to time to paint. All right, guys, I guess we're going to start right off blocking. I'm learning this as we go, just like everything else, so we'll see how this goes. I'm starting off with 180 grit. I think we're going to 320. I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that up. We're gonna start with 180. I mentioned before, but before we just went to 120 on before we laid down the coat of epoxy primer and then this polyester filler primer. So I am not going for perfection here. We're going to just make sure the panels are not wavy, basically. I'm not going show car quality. Keeping the expectations tempered, I guess we could say. Again, this is my first time doing any of this stuff, so we'll start right off like that. Let's throw some, you want some guide coat on there though. So I'm gonna throw some guide coat on. This is just powdered dry coat. You can do like a can of black primer or something on here. That would work too, but I got this stuff, so we're just gonna spread it on the panel here pretty good. And I'm only gonna do between the body lines right now, I guess. And you can get this stuff right on Amazon, like all the other stuff I do. Links for everything that I use in the videos, unless I forget something, will be down in the description. You can just click right on the link and it'll take you to wherever I bought it from. Most stuff I end up getting from Amazon because it's easier, but you know, some stuff, like the Eastwood stuff, I usually buy directly from them, but you can also get it on Amazon. So anyways, so we got that. Now I do know when you're blocking, you don't want to go sideways like this. You want to keep your block flat on the panel. Ideally, it'd be better if I had a longer block. This one's only 11 inch. But again, we're not going for a show car quality, so we're just gonna try it out. It should be fine as long as we don't press in too hard. Anyways, so the pattern you do is basically in an X pattern. You go like this, and you go like this, and you don't wanna go over any sharp edges like the body line, or if this was curved, that's why we're starting with this. It's a nice flat panel. You know, like up here where it's curved in here, obviously you can't use that. We'll have to do something different. Or on the hood, it's got a lot of curves. So this is where we're starting, and let's jump right into it. And by the way, apologies if you can hear that fan in the background. I imagine you can. But I came out here yesterday to start on this, and I had the doors open at first. I was just messing around cleaning up from the day before when I laid down this primer. And then I got hot, so I closed everything up, turned the AC on, right? And after a while, I noticed I started getting lightheaded. And then my chest started burning, my lungs. So it took me a little bit to realize, but it was because I had this place right closed up, and this stuff is still off-gassing. And yeah, it wasn't good. So this stuff is nasty stuff. I didn't have any issue with the epoxy primer before. And I came out here the next day and it was fine. But this stuff is pretty nasty. It smelled in here this morning. It's been 2 days since I laid this down. So I've got the fan blowing out.
with the window open a bit so we can hopefully keep it okay in here. I'll see how I feel after a bit, but let's jump right in and start doing this. Oh, want some light too. Oops, I forgot to get a battery. I'm just doing light pressure. I'm barely even touching it, to be honest. I'm barely even doing anything with the sandpaper. This is after just like a minute or so of doing this, what you just saw me do, and this is why we lay guide coat down. You can see here where my sandpaper was hitting, it's nice and smooth now. Out here, it hasn't really touched anything. And this is after I already, you know, got it close with the body filler and stuff. I didn't block the whole car before because I wasn't really planning on it, but we got to do it now. So this is why we put guide coat on though, because now we know we're high here and low here. I just got to make sure that I hopefully don't go through the poly primer that we put on there. I only did 2 coats because I only got a gallon. I wanted to leave a little bit left. I got like, I don't know, maybe a third of a gallon left in case I do go through so I can respray a panel. But ideally I won't go through, and we'll get this all block smooth by the time we get it, you know, basically take these high spots down and get down to the low spots. And some of this also, you know, this stuff is so thick when you spray it, this might be, you know, it could be, it's probably because the panel's not straight, but it could be because it got a little bit more on right there, you know, as I was spraying. Probably not, because they're right next to each other, but if you had, you know, say like a high spot here and it's not touching down here, it could be because I put a little bit more on when I went and did this pass of the gun. You know, maybe I went a little slower. Anyways, so with all that to say is we got to keep going. I got to block this thing, see what happens. Again, I'm learning, so I'm just going to get to work and probably do a fast forward type of thing, and you guys can watch, and we'll see what happens. I'll check back with you guys once I got some more to talk about and see how this goes.
All right, guys, I've been blocking a little bit, and I just want to stop and give you a quick update, show you how it's going. To be honest, right now, feeling a little bit discouraged. So take a look at this door that I was doing before. As I mentioned, dark spots are where the sandpaper's not hitting, high spots are where it is, and this is a lot wavier than I anticipated. Now, obviously, that primer that we've put on is very rough. It's very bumpy. You know, you can definitely tell that that's not a finished type of surface. It's nice and smooth here where I sanded it with the 180, but you can see we got like the low spot right here, right? High spot, low spot. I can feel that roughness, obviously, because the sandpaper hasn't touched it. It's nice and smooth on both sides. However, if I run my fingers across it or I put a straight edge across it, I can't even tell that there's a low spot right there, which is crazy to me. I don't know, and you can see, maybe you guys can see, it's getting a little dark right here, which means I'm getting through the gray filler primer and getting into the, well, not yet, but about to get into the black epoxy primer, which we don't really want to do. You can see it already happened right here. This is black right here because it's from the, not from the epoxy primer coming through, but from the guide coat. Not even close to touching that, which I'm not worried about something like that around the lock cylinder because, you know, you're not even going to be able to tell because you got the lock cylinder around it. You know, it's not like it's the big flat part of the panel where if you look down it, you can see it's wavy. So now I also messed around with the other door, just wanted to see. It's much the same, although it looks, I would say, a little bit straighter. I barely did anything over here, you know, just a few passes, but it is seeming to be smoother than the other door. You know, I don't have any major differences in high and low, but again, I didn't do much. And then I did the hatch up here. I wanted to see how this was. I did quite a bit more here just to see how it goes. We did go through right here, right around the lock cylinder again, which is fine because I don't want a lot of material there. I mentioned that before because I don't want it cracking from people. You know, when you go to open the hatch, you push on it, flex it, which shouldn't happen also because remember, we reinforced this whole thing inside so there's no flex in it. But anyways, so I did that, and you can see we've mostly got it smooth. There's not much of the untouched primer with the guide coat showing. Just a little bit right here, a little bit here, a little bit along here, which is where the window seal rides. It comes all the way out to here. And a little bit down here. Nothing matters under here because the spoiler goes there. Spoiler covers up to right about there. So this is actually looking pretty good, which I'm very happy with because I did cover this whole thing in body filler. I'm going to keep messing with this. I'll record some random footage here and there of me sanding, and any thoughts I have that pop up, I'll keep mentioning it as I go. But I'm trying to figure this out as I go. Keep asking questions of the people that have been helping me out. They're still a huge help. And yeah, if I got anything that I think you guys might want to know, if you're also learning or something like that, I'll mention it. But anyways, I'm going to get back to sanding a bit and we'll go from there. And by the way, I decided to turn the AC off out here, so it's freaking hot. It's up to 82 out here because I didn't want to waste energy by having, you know, the air coming in to keep venting out all the fumes in here. And obviously, I don't want to breathe up all that crap just sitting in here, like I mentioned before. So, anyways, probably enough rambling. I am going to get back to sanding work, and we'll see what happens. All right, quick update, guys. Actually, you're really dirty. That was dusty in here. Let's turn this fan off for a second. All right, so I've been doing some more blocking. Let's go back over to here where I was on the door. We got it looking a lot better. You can still see we had obviously a high point right there. I got up here done. That was actually really hard to do. I couldn't find any good way to do it. So I got my soft block here and was just going like this, back and forth this way a little bit just to get some down, and then like this. I tried this teardrop one here. It wasn't working for me. I didn't like it. I found that it's really easy to hit the adjacent panel, which you don't want to do that because I don't know how bad it is, but I kind of dug in right there, and I was being really careful. And it also makes it really hard to do this edge because you got to stay away from here. So I threw some tape on there. I think that's the right way to do it. I started throwing it on the back, and then I realized I can just open the door a little bit. So, anyways, so I haven't finished down here, obviously, or up top. It's close, so up top. I'm pretty happy with up top. And this part right here is pretty straight back and forth. You can use the hard block. But back here, it curves up and out. So I just kept hitting right here. Both places here, up here. You know, when it started taking it off with the end of the block, it started gouging in kind of, you know, if I kept going. So I had to move over to the soft block for here just to kind of smooth it up there, which I think is okay. We still got a lot to do down here. I'm finding it hard to do close to this edge down here because you can't go past it like you would if it was the edge of the panel. Like if I got the door open, you have your block going right over the end, right? You can't do that down here. I'm finding it really hard to get to sand down close to this body line here and also get in there in to actually do the body line without gouging into up here. So I took a break from that. Wanted to mess around with the hood. So it's actually looking pretty good up here. I can get most of that with the hard block. Just, where is it? Right here. Just back and forth in the X pattern, right? But then you get into right here where it starts curving up, back here. And obviously I can't because you're just going to dig in. So I went over to, you can't really do it with this. It doesn't bend enough. It's not soft enough. So I went over to, again, whatever I did with it, this soft block here. And I could get in there pretty good, I think. I think it's working well. I'm finding it a little harder up here because it's kind of a hard edge right there. It's not as rounded. So that's what we're doing. And I did find, I remember seeing this a little high when we were filling before. I had trouble with that getting down to bare metal there. So we might have to address that. We'll see how that does. And, up here, just using the hard block like this, we got, apparently had a high spot right there. This is where we filled in. I remember actually Owen helped me here fill that in, but it's still, apparently it's a little low there. I'm trying to remind myself that these panels were probably, I guarantee they weren't anywhere near straight from the factory, back in the 70s. So I need to be okay, and I am okay with it not being perfect like I mentioned before. But it's hard when I'm actually sanding because I want to make it perfect. That's just naturally how it goes. But I don't know. I don't want to spend the next however many months out here working on this thing because I only get the weekends for the most part after work and on the weekends. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep working here, keep messing around. And I did. I talked to Kevin Tates again on the phone. And I was originally planning on going to 320 with this, and he said don't even bother. 120 is good enough to put your urethane primer on. So he knows a lot more than I do. So we're going to go to 120 on the urethane primer, and then we'll have to go to 400-ish, I believe 400 on the urethane primer before we put color. So yeah, I'm going to get back to sanding on this. My garage is a mess. I thought it was a mess before when I was just doing the body filler work, but doing this blocking is, this place is going to be completely covered in dust. But that's fine. We'll just have to do a good cleaning before we actually spray some paint on here. And I'm going to build a booth out here anyway. So, just a quick update for you, and I'm going to get back to sanding. Alright guys, quick update. I've been sanding quite a bit out here. You might notice, if you look around, the garage looks a little different. So I rolled the car outside because I wanted to pull the panels off. I figured, why am I sitting on the floor sanding overhead when I could just pull the doors off? So that's what I've been focusing on. Some people, especially if you're doing like a high-end restoration, you want this like laser straight. You'll sand right over the edge of the door and onto the next panels. Like you'd put your board right across the front edge of the door onto the fender, sand them at the same time. They'll even put body filler right across the gap and sand it flat and then cut it after. But anyways, I don't care about that. Like I said, we're not going for perfection here. This is not going to be a show car. So I pulled the doors off so that I could throw them up on my stands and be a little more comfortable, get at everything easier. So I got this door fairly good. It's not perfect yet. You can see just how unstraight the door is now. Obviously, these are where there's high spots or was high spots. We've still got some areas, some small areas where my sandpaper is not touching. I didn't bother. You see, there's a good one right there. I can't feel any difference other than it feels a little rough, obviously, because I haven't sanded it. But it doesn't feel low. But, you know, we got small areas like that. I'm not 100% done with that one, but I decided to work on the other one at the same time, or instead of finishing this one. We can go back and forth. This body line down here was actually not very easy to get. What I did, I didn't have any luck with finding a shape on my Durablocks or anything. So what I came up with is grab a socket. I got one that's basically the right radius and just put it in there and went like that. Kept it as smooth as I could. The only issue with this is it's not long, so you could easily make a low spot, but I think it'll work for me. So I'm just going to keep sanding. I'll probably mess around with that cowl panel here at some point. There's literally no flat piece on this, you know, so I can't use a flat block across this. There's, you know, so what I've been doing, and I'm sure some people are going to tell me I'm an idiot. I've been getting it close with 120 with my Durablock. You know, I'll go across it, get it as close as I can, or get it down quite a bit just to knock it off. I don't want to go any bigger grit than 120 because I don't want to just cut through this stuff immediately. But then I'll move over to my soft blocks because there's so many different curvature on the door. You know, like it's pretty much straight right across here, you know, all the way across here till about here. If you go all the way from the back, it's basically straight. Or actually, that's the front. You go from the front all the way to the back. It's basically straight, and then it kind of starts to curve out here, and up here it curves up. So I was going basically to here with the hard block, and then I'd move over to my soft block. Again, I'm not going for perfection here, so ideally, what I should do if I was doing this, how it's recommended, is at this point, because I've got down to bare metal here in one spot. Apparently there was a decent high spot right there. Again, I can't feel it, I can't see it, and I hit a couple high spots down here on the bottom. What I should do is respray this again with that polyester primer. I'm not going to, because it's not that big of a deal to me. So basically, once I get done, I'm going to re-epoxy prime these bare metal spots and sand it smooth. And as long as I can make it smooth, then I'm happy with it. It's getting urethane primer on top of it anyway, which that will also allow me to do some more blocking and getting it a little straighter. But anyways, that's just a quick update. It's definitely easier for me to do this stuff off the car. So yeah, anyways, I will catch up with you guys here maybe in a little bit. Another update for you guys. I'm working on the roof right now. Nice big flat panel. It's actually a bit easier to do the sanding on this with the, you know, the big X pattern one, because I'm not sitting on the floor doing it overhead, you know, like I was doing on the doors down here, and I'm gonna have to do on all of this stuff because I can't take that off. But anyways, nice big flat-ish panel. So I've been going over that with 120 right now. I haven't gone all the way to the edges because this is kind of flat all the way across, and then it does a sharp curve right here at the front and the rear. It's not as much in the rear, actually. Yeah, there's a bit of a curve there, but mostly I want to stay away from the hatch when I'm doing those big sweeping pattern, whatever, with the big sweeping strokes with the block. I don't want to get into the hatch because I've already done that. That is why I have the tape on there. I gotta do this edge here too, obviously. We're not done up here, but it's getting pretty good. I might actually, this part, I think I'm gonna move over to 180 now. It's pretty much got all of the bumps or whatever from the filler primer out. So anyways, I'm keep working on that. And I don't think I showed you guys the cowl since I worked on that. I got this pretty much all done, except I got to do the edges and right here on the vents. And actually somebody gave me a good idea. A red scuff pad works very good on these edges. You just kind of go back and forth like this. You don't dig in as much as you do with a piece of sandpaper on a block because it conforms to the shape more and it gets it nice and smooth. So that's how I've been doing it. I'm going to do that with this too. I think maybe kind of shove it in between here and work it out. I don't know. We'll see. I can do that still. And the doors still need finishing. I haven't 100% finished them. I didn't really do any of the edges on here because, you know, the body lines, because I hadn't figured out a good way to do it that I was happy with. So I might do that with this too. We'll see. I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, I think I'll maybe throw a time lapse on of working on the roof here. I'm going to continue doing that. I've been watching some Vice Grip Garage at the same time, try to keep myself from going insane from doing this stuff. So that's working pretty well. But yeah, just another quick update for you. I am ready to be done with sanding at this point, but I can't really stop. So on we go. Okay guys, I think we're gonna about end the video up here. I'll just catch you up to where I am right now. I got the roof, not the hood, pretty close. I've gone over it with 180 now. It's got some small areas where I gotta go down a little more because we still got little bumps or whatever, the texture from the filler primer, the polyester filler primer, because it's very, very rough, very rough. You can see right there maybe. So I've sanded back to here, haven't done anything there. Noticeable difference. So there's still a little bit up here that has to be done. I've done all the way around the front, all the A-pillars and everything. You know, I blocked this right here and on this edge, and then I just kind of took a little bit of sandpaper, some 120 in here, just to clean this up a little bit because it was, again, very rough. I don't want it rough like that is right now, like I just showed you. But it's all going to be covered up by the window seal, so it does not matter what it actually looks like. Rounded the edges off good, got them nice and smooth with the red scuff pad. Same thing all the way down along here. My dad was here. He messed around with the top of the fenders a little bit. Definitely need more work, but he worked on those a little bit here. And what else? I've started further disassembling the car. I took all like the, well, you can see we got the hood off. Took all the hinges off, the door striker, all the stuff on the hatch back there. You know, all the actual latches and all that stuff. I got it all fully disassembled now, so we can get rid of all that stuff. It's sitting on the toolbox here. We can go throw it in the barn so it's out of the way. And also, the reason we got the hood upside down is this is the back side of where I had to heat up the hood right here to get that oil can out of it. And it's not perfectly smooth on the back side. I don't want it looking like crap when you got the hood open, because obviously I'm going to want to show off the engine as much as I can, you know, with the 2JZ in there looking nice. So we want this looking good. So just going to get it smooth. Not going to go crazy, obviously. I can't get it 100% perfect because, you know, it'll be good. It'll be good. However, there's some waviness to it from trying to get that oil can out. And we took care of it on the other side, you know, by hammering and dollying and filling with filler. But we got the opposite way here, so it's going to have to be as good as it can be. And it's the inside of the car. It's not like it's the exterior where it matters as much if it's perfectly straight. So, anyways, that's kind of where we're at. I got a lot more work to do, though. Lot more work. But, I mean, nothing to do besides just keep working. So, I guess we'll probably do kind of what I did with the rest of the body work on the car. I'm probably not going to film everything. Not because it's extra work or anything like that, but just because it's literally the same thing over and over and over again, just in a different area of the car. So if I get anything major that I want to show off, I will film it and put it in the next video. I don't know if I showed this off, but I got that's that little dent. I circled it right there that I found. I don't even see it now, but apparently I found something there because I circled it. And I found down here, I circled it down here somewhere. Let me see the other side. It must be the other side. Let's go look at the other side real quick. Yeah, right there. So I found a little dent right there. We're gonna have to fill that stuff back in. Obviously, I am debating not spraying urethane primer on the interior and just spraying the base coat right over the epoxy. The engine bay I will probably put urethane on just to give it a little more protection. And obviously we're gonna have to re-epoxy the areas where I gotta finish up these areas and get them where I'm 100% happy with them, where we smooth that out, where there was some bumpiness from fabrication, and you know, up here we remove brackets and stuff like that. So that's going to be re-epoxy. It's going to be small re-epoxy areas, like you know, up here, hit that ridge when I was sanding. I forget where else. So we had something on the edge of the hood, but there's little areas I got to do because the door opening here, there's a seam here, continues all the way down here, and I welded it here and filled it with metal filler down there and up here, and then put regular filler on top just to smooth it out so it looks nice. I didn't want to have it ending right there because I definitely wanted it smooth on the outside, but I didn't want to have it starting right there, so I figured why not just fill it all the way back there. So that's gonna have to be covered with epoxy. I don't know. That's about where I'm at. I got a ton of work to do, so I'm gonna get back to it. Let me know what you guys think, and I will keep you updated. Leave me some comments, and I'll see you in the next video.